Hey, this is Monty Colvin from Monty's Rockcast and the band Galactic Cowboys. Now, what some people don't know is I'm also an artist extraordinaire. If you're looking for some art that rocks, check out my website, montycolvinart.com.
All right, we're back here with another episode of Aftershocks on AFTERSHOCKS.TV.com on the CMS network. And we'd like to welcome our special guest to the show today. We've got with us today the one and only Mr. Blaze Bayley. Blaze, what's going on? How you doing, man?
Hello? Hello? Where are you in America? Can you hear me?
We're in America.
I'm on the internet. I'm on the internet in England. Yeah, I'm doing really well, man. I'm doing really well. I'm so relieved about everything. I got my War Within Me album. We met every deadline that we set ourselves. I'm totally independent, so I'm supported completely by my fans. I own my own record company, of which I am the only band on there, so it's quite small. And we met every single deadline that we set ourselves. We had wiggle room put in there so that we would deliver our master to the factory, and even with problems, we'd still get through. But we did not predict this. Well, I think it's happened all over the world. A virus. Yeah, it's affected quite a few people. And it's certainly affected the factory where we sent our CD to be pressed. And then it's affected the factory that's pressing the vinyl. And it's the most awful thing, because it was wonderful. My manager said to me, you know what? You've done so well on your last album that now we can afford to bring out vinyl and CD on the same day. So I'm like, wow. It was like, so no, yeah, but it's got to be old school, one piece of vinyl, 42 minutes or whatever. I'm like, yeah, no problem, no problem. Then we're thinking all big artwork, all side one, what starts side two. I'm 14 again, man. It's incredible. Incredible. I'm like, luxury. I never wanted CDs. I never wanted them. They told us CDs were great because we could drive our cars over CDs and still play them. Did anybody drive their cars over the vinyl and expect them to play afterwards? You know, it's a cherished thing. So and they said, oh, you could put your CD in a freezer. It will still play. Did anybody put vinyl in the freezer and expect it to play? Yeah, it's all a big lie. All a lie. So anyway, I'm back. I've got that. I'm like, yeah, I am now going to bring out vinyl. Then, massive pandemic all over the world. Everyone in the factory is ill and sick, and everything's delayed. And the hot, you know. Then I'm actually grateful. This is horrible. I never wanted this to happen in my life.
Right.
I'm grateful for streaming services that could bring it out on midnight of the day that it was supposed to be out, you can listen to it on a streaming service like iTunes and Spotify and all of that. So people could hear it. But of course, I've been waiting. I finished it so long ago, last year. I've just been waiting for my fans to hear it. And I've had this kind of anxiety, a release anxiety, that the further away I've finished it here, and then the further away the release gets, and I'm from the finish, I'm more and more anxious. Will anybody like my new album? Will anybody like it? And then the single comes out, I'm getting, oh no, what? And people like it, mate. My fans like the first single, War Within Me, from the album. It's just a huge relief, you know. It's been nerve-wracking. We finished it. All our gigs were postponed or cancelled or stolen, maybe. I don't know. And we just had to keep going, oh, no. And then, oh, hang on, that's an extra few days for the album. We could use that time now working on the album. We could have these extra days. So it did work out, bittersweet, horrible, that we had to give up these gigs. Right. But great that we had this extra time to spend cooking our album. And wow, the reactions from fans and people that have heard it, it's incredible. You know, I think, well, it sounds like they're talking about somebody else's album. It's that good. You know, some of the comments, I was like, wow, that's surely they don't mean me. They must have confused me with another artist that's really cool, because it does not sound like me they're talking about.
Well, I definitely think they're talking about you, man. Do you think, man, that part of your anxiety for people liking the record came from not having the gigs? Because if you would have had the gigs, you would have tried some of this out somewhere along the line. You would have pulled out War Within Me or something and let them hear it and got an instant reaction.
Maybe. I think the biggest part of it was at every Blaze Bayley concert, every headline show that I've done in the last few years, I've done a free meet and greet. Mm-hmm. And not everybody can do that, but I am able to do that. And it gives me this incredible opportunity to meet my fans and talk to them. And many people share experiences. This lyric was very important to me. This album got me through a tough time. This song meant a lot to me, and things like this. And it's very, very humbling. I come back from my South American tour and I see what's happening in Europe with the virus taking hold and everything. And I knew this had to be a positive record. My fans have kept me going through thick and thin, for better or worse. I wasn't always on top form, and people bought my album and bought the tickets and bought the T-shirt, and they've supported me and kept me going. And I really felt like, you know what? I have to do something very special. It's been 2 years since the last studio album, and now we're all in a battle. We're all in a fight just to keep ourselves going. So I've got to do something special. And I had many of the fans that I know on first name terms in my mind. And I was picturing them and picturing some of the smaller concerts that we play and thinking, this has got to mean something. So every single thing that we did, we put under the microscope. Does the lyric, does the melody, does the music fit the emotion that we're trying to portray. Are we saying to people, right, at the end of War Within Me, you're going to feel better than when you started listening to the album? Or are you just going to go, oh, well, it's all right, you know? No, you have to feel better. And we got every little bit. I was challenged by Chris, my co-producer. Right, let's hear this part of the voice. Let's use that there. Right, Chris, can you play, in the same tempo, but can you pick it twice the speed, the riff? And he's going, no, that's impossible. Give me 10 minutes to work it out. And so that incredible amount of energy, truth, and passion is locked into the album. We're challenging each other as we're there writing the songs and getting our demos down and sending the other guys the parts to the songs, all the time thinking everybody's struggling. Everybody started at last to talk about mental health without the stigma. Everybody's going, well, actually, yeah, mental health, that's something we've all got. And when we're faced with these horrible circumstances, it's okay to talk about it because it's undeniable now. It's out in the open. Yeah, you're not a freak like me if you have suffered from mental health. It's just anybody. And everybody has this. It's part of your overall health. And I think that's one of the good things that's come out. And, you know, we didn't really care. If it was cheesy, it was like, you know what? I don't care. If people think this is cheesy, I like cheese. Let's have a big keyboard. No, keep it going. Keep it going. Keep it going. Now the solo. Now the solo. Now the second half. What second half? Yeah, you thought that was a solo. No, here's the second half. That was only the melody part. Oh, but so we just did it. Right, we're gonna have deadly, serious, emotional vocal introducing this song, and then we're gonna go big. Bang! And we just did it, mate. So, you know what? I know why I fell in love with heavy metal when I was 14. I know what that first Black Sabbath album did to me. I know what Led Zeppelin did to me, how they warped my soul and seduced me and have kept me in love with heavy metal over all of these years. Now it's payback. I'm going to do that to everyone else. And that's how he felt, Mo. Heavy metal has got so many cliches in it, but they're also magnificent tools to bring out at the right moment. Right, we're having a really big riff here. Well, yeah, because it feels great. So we just went with it. Each time we just went with it and thought, you know, we're doing this for the people that support us, for the people that have believed in us, a part of the dream, the incredible dream of being an independent heavy metal singer full time. It's a dream job.
Well, would you take it? Let's put it this way: if and then you're completely independent, you know, which is great. And if the right deal did come along, would you consider working with a label, or are you just like, you know what, I never want to deal with them again? I love my my financial independence with being independent. No, yes.
I think it's principle. Over the year, you know, I've been in the biggest band, the biggest heavy metal band in the world, arguably the biggest and most important heavy metal band, Iron Maiden. I played stadiums, I played arenas, I've been on TV, I had top 10 single, all of that. I've been in a underground band, I've been in a cult band, and my life is music. So anything that gets in the way of my music and presenting that to my audience is a bad thing. And years and years ago, everybody said, oh, I need to get signed. I've got to get signed. Then a friend of mine said, why does everybody want to get signed?
Right.
And it really made me think, well, really, the people that want to get signed, it's using the record company like a bank. Well, I said to my fans, and this is an idea from Marillion, I said to my fans, look, I can't afford to record my album. I'm writing it. Will you send me, buy my album off me before I've even finished it? And people said, yeah, we believe in you. We'll do it. And from that little start, I've managed to keep going and keep going and keep going. And I've had enough support to be able to live full time. I don't want to go back to that slave system where someone else can have an input or feel they have the right to make some suggestion or say something because they're putting money into the project. I don't want that. So I have a modest life. I don't have the latest Tesla car. And I'm only going to get one of those if I win the lottery. But in the lottery of life, I have won because I get incredible support. I'm able to make the music that I want to make, have the artwork I want. There's no argument about it. I have a very small but incredible team of people with me on this journey. And the people that I do it for, my fans, that's the incredible thing. I'm supported by my fans from around the world, and I'm able to do this. For me, as an artist, able to go through every part of the process from writing the songs to producing the album and mixing the album, to have input and control over every part of that process and take you as the listener on the journey I intended to take you on with no one getting in the way. That is an incredible and wonderful feeling. And of course, I'm incredibly lucky. So, and incredibly grateful to my fans for the support that they've given me over so many years. It's an incredible situation to be in. And, well, independence has a value that you don't realize until you haven't got it.
Yeah, good point.
Right. Sure.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of being incredibly lucky, how incredibly lucky are you this late in your career to run into somebody like Chris Appleton, who seems to be maybe the most in tune with you musically of anybody that you've worked with?
Oh, I thought then you were going to say, how lucky are you to be on our show this late night? You know,
well, goes without saying.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Sorry, it was about Chris. What about me? It's supposed to be about me. Chris, he's here. Right, yeah. It's, I think, one of the things, apart from massive talent, one of the key things is we're both from a working class background.
Okay.
Where the results you get are work, and you don't feel entitled or that you should have anything. You feel that if you're prepared to put the work in, there's a chance that you'll get something out of it. And also, we're both completely in love with metal and what you can do with metal music. So I think that's it. It's not easy for Chris, to be honest, because I'm a total arsehole and I'm not very easy to work with. And I'm always telling him what to do. So he has to be very patient. Also, I'm quite lucky that he hasn't shot me, stabbed me, or strangled me so far during any of the albums or songwriting that we've done. we're in pursuit of the same thing, and that is a song that will live and mean something beyond where it was born and what album it's on. So if my fans go, you know what, Pick Yourself Up was a very important song for me this year, then that's everything. And if we can put that song together in a way that it's worth listening to more than once, then that's an incredible thing. And we're constantly fighting for that. Is this interesting or is it boring? Are we doing this because we're in love with this part, or because this part needs to be heard this many times to make sense in the journey?
Right.
And these questions constantly go on. And the worst, you know, we're sitting kind of safe distance away. And well, safe distance, not because of COVID, but because you'd have to get up out of your chair if you wanted to attack the other guy. So forget that. So we're at a distance, and then the demo will end. We've just finished, and we're listening. And you looking. Don't say nothing. Don't say nothing. Don't say nothing. Don't say nothing. And then one of us will go. And Chris is normally the bastard that does this. He goes, I think we need another part. No! And I think it's a chorus. No! No! And of course, then you listen to it and you go, yeah, of course, yeah. And I'll go, yeah, I don't think that instrumental's finished now, you know. I think we've got to go. I think that's the start of the solo, but we have somewhere else to go now. What? Yeah, because that's the melody part. Then we really need to get busy and put some energy into. But that's really fast. No. Can you play it faster? Well, not play it fast, but pick it twice the speed. What? So the man is always throwing these things. So we're sitting there and we're scared then to look, or like, please don't mention anything. Please let it be finished. Let it be finished. Oh, it's finished. Oh, thank goodness for that. Oh, good. And it goes round and round, and we pick it to pieces, put it back together, it goes under the microscope. And in the end, it has to be a journey that you enjoy being on, and for a few seconds, just a few moments, makes you forget your life.
Right.
And engages you in a way that you are immersed in it. That's our goal. And we've written so many songs together now that we have a shorthand in the way that we do things. And it works really well. It takes out a lot of the unnecessary dialogue and details, because we don't argue with each other as much as we used to. It's like, we need an extra part, and I think it's the chorus. And instead of arguing about it, I'll go, all right, and then start plonking away on the keyboard and
Right.
what notes have I got and all of that business. So it's good, but he's an incredible player. And my test of great guitar players is not how fast they can move. It's how they can play the melodies on the guitar, and how can they handle clean guitar parts. Because I worked with Dave Murray in Iron Maiden, and when that guy plays a clean guitar, he makes that guitar come to life, man. And I've worked, as you can imagine, with a lot of young guitar players, and you'll get to the clean parts, and this is dynamic, this is emotional, and they're all over the place. They're nothing without distortion or overdrive. And you go, well, that's not guitar playing, mate. That's only half the story. The real story begins here. The sound is in your hands. It's not in the pedals. And you've got to have that in your hands. And this has to be connected to this. And then you've got some magnets to get to try to, before you would get anywhere near an amp or a distortion pedal. And you know what? When I work with Chris and I go, oh, let's try a clean part here. Man, it's just huge. You think, oh, you never want you, and you feel you have all of this extra dynamic that you realistically can call on at any time. So it's very, very cool, man. He's a great player. He's incredibly fast player. He can shred with anybody.
Right.
But what really makes the difference is he can make a clean guitar sound like someone falling in love.
Nice. Very nice, man. Well, dude, you know, from listening to you describe writing these individual songs, it almost sounds like maybe writing this album that was not conceptual like the last three was actually more difficult for you because you didn't have a roadmap to follow, no?
Well, what happens, I use a vault system, and that is never throw anything away, just treat it as if it's not quite cooked.
Okay.
And so what we do is we keep things in the vault, and one of the songs, which is called The Unstoppable Stephen Hawking, we had that idea around for 4 years, and yeah, we got some nice bits, and yeah, we got this. Right, time to get it out now. What's missing? What do we need? How do we get this to make sense and put the energy into it? It was a big relief that each song only had to make sense with itself, musically and lyrically, whereas on the trilogy, almost every song had to be able to reference every other song, and that's 34 songs, right? Over the whole thing, they had to relate to each other. And on this, right, we've got 42 minutes roughly to make this make sense, and it better be joyous and powerful and commanding. And that's what we did. So we were let off the hook in a way that when we came to The Unstoppable Stephen Hawking or Warrior or Pull Yourself Up, it only had to make sense in itself. But of course, it was new. People had been waiting 2 years. We wanted to do something special. So that was the added pressure that we had to do it.
Well, you have another sort of trilogy on there. You've got three songs about famous and well-renowned scientists and inventors with Turing, Tesla, and Hawking. So I was interested on where that you know, I guess inspiration came from when you write those songs about those three individuals.
Oh, I'm always interested in science and science fiction from the point of view of how things are made. Why do things work? I ride a motorcycle. I have since I was a very young man. I always preferred motorcycles over cars and bicycles. And, of course, I always took them to pieces. And I didn't always put them back together successfully. So I am very interested in how things work. And science and math can explain that. And then these people have this kind of genius and intellect and intelligence, which makes me seem like the Neanderthal, which I probably really am, you know. And so the first thing was Stephen Hawking. We had the idea that we wanted to do something about Hawking for 4 years, and not about his discovery with black holes and Hawking radiation and all the other amazing things and writing his books. No, he was given a death sentence.
Right.
The doctor said to him, people with your condition do not usually live longer than 3 years. 49 years later, he's on stage giving a lecture, and he can't even speak, right? He's found a way to communicate with his eye movements, blowing through a straw, and he has his special voice that they made for him. And and you're like, well, if my body started to wither up and become practically useless, and my mind was still intact, I was imprisoned, I don't think I would cope. And he did. He just said, well, I can't stop. I've got too much work to do. There's too many things going on for me. So 49 years later, he was working and doing important work, giving lectures. So he refused to bow down and accept what to many people would be inevitable. So he was unstoppable. And it's that spirit. What Stephen Hawking said, one of the main things that he said is, look at the things that you can do. Don't focus on what you can't do. And that's a huge inspiration. And I used one of his quotes as the main part of the lyric, and that is, if you're in a black hole, don't worry too much, because they're not as black as people once thought. And this is the world expert on black holes. So I wanted to use that as part of the lyric, and I'm really pleased with the way that it came out. Then Tesla, he had dreams and visualizations of things. The alternating current electric motor he dreamed of, it came into his head, and he drew it with a stick in the sand where he was so he could remember it. Then years later, he's at Niagara Falls building the world's first hydroelectric power plant.
Wow.
When he was a child, he had a dream of Niagara Falls. He had a dream of a water wheel. Years later, there he is building the biggest machine the world has ever seen. Things that are 10 times bigger than anything that has ever been manufactured outside of a ship. You know, and the other thing that he could do, Nikola Tesla could visualize something in his mind where other people would have to sketch it out, make a prototype, see if it works, what the problems. Nikola Tesla could visualize a whole machine in his mind,
right,
before he ever put pen to paper, and he could see problems and sort them out in his mind before he ever wrote them down. Just incredible. And that's without his idea about free electricity for everyone in the world, which, you know, if you believe in global warming or not, it's still a good idea for everybody to have free electricity, I think.
Sure.
That, you know, that doesn't affect the environment. And then the scariest one is Alan Turing. What he did, actually inventing, becoming the godfather of computers, finding a way to crack an impossible code. Alan Turing did dream of thinking machines. And the test of AI, artificial intelligence, in the modern world is still called the Turing test.
Right.
And in this test, the machine must deceive the human being into thinking it is not a machine, it's a human. So here it is. If there is a fully realized artificial intelligence, an artificial consciousness that becomes aware, the first thing they have to do is deceive humanity. The second thing is humans will always be suspicious because they'll be wondering, is this someone trying to catch me out? Or is it really a human being? Or is it a machine? So suspicion and deception are the first interactions in artificial intelligence and humanity. Well, no wonder. You know, we've got films like Terminator and the Matrix series. This is a reality. It could happen that way. And so that's why I wanted to write about Alan Turing. His incredible achievement, but also a warning about artificial intelligence and what it could mean in a negative way. And, you know, we had the scientists in different places on the playlist, and nothing seemed to make sense. And I woke up and came to the studio and I said, the three scientists are together. And this is what they're called. Just the album started to make sense. And, well, if those three are together, then that means Every Storm Ends is the end. And that means War Within Me is the beginning. And it's also the title. And things started to fall into place then. And it was just, then it was very, very exciting.
Awesome. Yeah, that sounds great. And those are all fantastic songs. I got to ask, obviously, while we have you on, we've got to ask you an Iron Maiden question. And I know it's your favorite topic too, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, which I know you don't care about. We you know, the band doesn't really care about it. It's not a big deal. And it is kind of a joke to a lot of, you know, most metal, I'd say, and hard rock fans. But the people who do care are the inductees and a lot in the press. And because it does carry a marketing piece that they can use and put on their resume to help them, you know, when it comes to their, you know, contracts or getting certain tours or whatever it may be. And with with that being said, I mean, since they've decided if Iron Maiden ever does get, you know, elected in there, inducted, I should say, you know, they decide obviously not to recognize you, which, like I said, you know, most fans, we all know what you've brought to the band. So we don't need a Rock and Roll Hall of Fame to tell everybody, you know, what your contributions were. But when all said and done, what is it that you want to be remembered for in terms of your contributions to the band and its legacy, you know, whether they get in or not?
Well, the number one thing for me is the band don't choose who goes in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So it's up to somebody else. I have recently been inducted into the Metal Hall of Fame, and Ronnie James Dio is in the Metal Hall of Fame. For me, people have considered me to be worthy to stand alongside Ronnie James Dio in the Metal Hall of Fame. That means something, man. Yeah. The influence that Ronnie James Dio had over me, the times that I met him during my career, and his wife Wendy, the festivals we were on together, the tours that we were on. It's an incredible thing to be inducted into the Metal Hall of Fame and stand with him and Lemmy and so many other artists that are important to me and have been important in my life. So that's an incredible honor for me. I'm not too worried about the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, because in many ways, rock and roll has also become a dirty word. And the spirit of rock and roll is not what it was when those early bands started. Rock and roll in those early days was, all right, no matter what, we get to the gig and we do the show, no matter what. That's rock and roll. Oh, you had your leg chopped off. Oh, you got shot in the shoulder by accident. Yeah, but don't worry, I'm still on stage. It's rock and roll. You know, that's the spirit of rock and roll. The studio blew up. There was a massive fire. All the band had their hair burnt off. Don't worry, we're still doing the gig. It's rock and roll. You know, that was the spirit of rock and roll when it started. You got electrocuted by touching the guitarist. Don't worry, it's rock and roll. You know, that was it. That was the start.
True, yeah.
As business became more dominant and music and business started to go at right angles to each other, that's when rock and roll, then it was rock and roll and rock star and all of these things, and rock and roll, then it's, well, oh yeah, it's doing the gig drunk, or it's, oh yeah, I can do a couple of lines before I go on stage. That's, for me, I didn't want anything to do with that. Right. You know, I'm about music, man. I want to go on as a warrior, and I want to take my art and shove it in people's faces, rip out their hearts, and go, let me make your heart metal, and put it back. For me, that's what I want to do. But that's not rock and roll. I don't care. If I want to tear the heart out of somebody and turn them into metal, I will do it. I don't care about rock and roll. So for me, the essence of the spirit of being in a band, a rock and roll band, and go, oh, we didn't get paid again. I thought you were going to get the money. I thought you got it. Well, he told me that he paid you. He told me that he paid you. What? Well, what are we going to eat? It looks like pizza again. Has anybody got money for pizza? No. Well, what about the girl? Oh, okay. Well, you know, and that's rock and roll for me. Those things. And I think that what I would, if anybody remembers me, the important thing is the music, man. I did some good songs. I did Man on the Edge. It was a top 10 hit in metal radio around the world. I did that with Iron Maiden. It's incredible. We did some great songs with Wolfsbane. We're still writing and recording with Wolfsbane. I've done 11 solo albums, and I would hope that there will be a song on the War Within Me album that will mean something to someone, that will be a special song for someone that they will cherish, and years into the future they'll go, you know what, that song from War Within Me, still my favorite song. That's what I would like to be remembered for good lyrics, good music, and for writing the truth wherever I could and helping people with my music. Maybe that sounds cheesy and embarrassing. I don't care, because I'm not cool. So I'm not cool, I'm not fashionable, I'm not popular. I'm a small underground artist supported by wonderful people, and I really don't give a toss what anybody else thinks about me, because I'm doing it because I love it and I have no choice. I have to do it.
Right.
Awesome. Yeah.
Well, you know, Blaze, it's funny you say that, because I was just saying this to Matt right before you came on.
Talking about me behind my back, yeah?
I absolutely was. I was saying that your career post Iron Maiden, from basically the day you left when you recorded two of my three favorite records that you ever did, Silicon Messiah and then Blood and Belief a couple years later. But your whole career, whether it's live or recorded, your whole solo career, remarkably consistent, remarkably good. And I don't think enough people understand that. I think so many people, and you know this, so many people that complained and bitched and didn't like the X Factor wrote you off completely there, and they've missed so much good music from you. Does that bother you? That I mean, obviously you get in Iron Maiden, it's the biggest band in the world. You take it and you go with it and you do everything you can with it. But does it bother you that people kind of stopped when you left Iron Maiden as well, instead of appreciating all the great stuff that you've done since?
Well, not really, because I don't want to be big. I'm not trying to be big. I'm not trying to play stadiums. I'm not thinking I've got to get back into big theaters. I've got to get into arenas. I've done it. I've done all of that.
No, I get that, but you still...
I've been huge. Now, I don't want too many fans. You know, maybe I'll get a few more fans with War Within Me. I don't want a lot more fans, right? I don't want to be really popular. I'm happy where I am, doing what I'm doing. And if people want to say, well, the worst albums Iron Maiden ever made are with Blaze Bayley, that's a good thing for me, because it will put people off and stop them buying War Within Me and listening and getting into it. And then I'll have too many fans. I had to sign 1,500 CDs to ship out for my pre-orders on this. My arm was aching, man. If I get a lot more fans, I may have to start working out how to do my signature left-handed. but it's just not important. Right. It's not important at all. You know, of course, within every performer and artist, there is a lust for recognition. I've had that recognition for years, and I have wonderful, loyal fans that support me. Really, my motivation is to do work worthy of the support I have. My fans will get that album, and I just want them to genuinely feel, yeah, exactly what I expected, a great record.
Yep.
Now, even if I've had to work my heart out, I've had to work my guts out. You know, I've thrown things at Appleton, you know, several times, and we've had to keep a distance so that we couldn't just quickly clock each other.
Right.
So, even so, I'm where I want to be. And the people that hated Blaze Bayley for being in Iron Maiden, I hope they still hate me. Because that at least I'm something. That, oh, well, who was Blaze Bayley? Well, he was a kind of nothing singer in Iron Maiden. What? No! If you say, who's Blaze Bayley? It's the worst thing that ever happened to Iron Maiden, then I'm okay with that, because I'm still friends with the guys in the band. I still talk to Steve. You know, I have the odd call to the management, check everything's okay and all of that. So I really don't care what people think. Why should I? The only opinion that really matters to me is the people that have supported me for so many years and make it possible for me to live my dream. Right. That's not a small thing.
No, yeah.
It's not a small thing, man. Thousands, perhaps millions of people go to work to a job they hate because they have to get the money to support themselves and their families. Yeah. So I'm in a job that I love, that people say I'm good at, that I enjoy doing. I'm so lucky, so lucky. And I've had those jobs where I had to go to work. I had them after Iron Maiden as well, when I had to go to the factory and make parts for cars, breathing in horrible metal dust and all kinds of things, carry massive sheets of hot glass that just came out of an oven and would stick to your fingers sometimes. Man, I'd done all that. I worked in a shop. And fans used to come into the shop and say, they didn't say, why are you working in the shop? They would say, when's your next album? When's your next tour? When are you going to be back out there? They never disparaged me or looked down on me because I was just an ordinary working man. They just said, well, you know, let's hope you get back on your feet and let me know, and I'll be at your next gig, and all of that. That kept me going, man. And so I'm incredibly lucky to be where I am. And if my music, in the smallest possible way, helps one of my fans when they're going to a job that they don't want to go to, if they're singing War Within Me in their head, then that's a great thing for me, and it's reward.
Yep, I agree. Well, and they should. So why don't we do this, Blaze? We'll tell everybody one more time. The album is called War Within Me. It is Blaze Bayley. And Blaze, where should people go if they want to keep up with you and tour dates and all that stuff?
Go to blazebayley.net and blazebayleyshop.com. So that's it. And I'm on Facebook, official Blaze Bayley, and I'm on Instagram, Blaze Bayley, as well. So hopefully people will keep up with me. I'm on Spotify and all the other digital platforms. So I would love to have people support, but not too many people.
Very nice. Awesome. Well, one more time, the name of the album is War Within Me. I'm giving it my stamp of endorsement. I love it. It's fantastic. And Blaze, thanks so much, man, for joining us here on Aftershocks.
Yeah, thanks, Blaze.
Thank you so much for having me on Aftershocks. It's been a real pleasure. Thank you so much. And a huge thank you to everyone that supported me in my dream and helped me make this album. Thank you so much.
Thanks for listening to Aftershocks. For more episodes, go to our website at www.aftershockspodcast.com. Visit us on our Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter pages for more news and information on the podcast. And be sure to subscribe, listen to, and review all episodes on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and all other podcast platforms. For your music listening pleasure, visit our website or go to www.shockwavesradio.com. For all comments and questions, please email us at info@aftershockspodcast.com.
All right, everybody, another great interview right here on AFTERSHOCKS TV. And before we go, just want to remind you one more time, make sure you get over and subscribe to the CMS Podcast Network, CMSPN.com. You can watch, you can listen, you can subscribe to everything that we do, not only us, but the classic metal shows, Shockwave Skull Sessions, Talk to Me. It's all there, one site, get 4 great shows, never have to do anything again but be entertained. So check it out, CMSPN.com, CMSPN.com, CMSPN.com. Until next time, folks.